Be me, Marcus, lead carpenter and project manager for precision carpentry and event builds. We specialize in bespoke installations, custom decor, and temporary structures for high-end events. Think custom stages, elaborate archways, unique display stands. We build dreams, or at least the framework for them. My team is meticulous. I run a tight ship. Rules and documentation are my religion. Be not me, Serafina Dubois, the bride-to-be. Her family name carried a certain weight in the local society pages, but it was clear from our first meeting that any perceived wealth was inherited, not earned, and definitely not hers to control freely. She wanted a $100,000 wedding. Her budget was, charitably, $5,000 for our part of the build. She was arrogant, entitled, and utterly delusional. Our first consultation was a masterclass in unrealistic expectations. Serafina wanted a floating wedding cake stand, unsupported, defying gravity, capable of holding a 5-tier monstrosity. She sketched it on a napkin with a crayon. I gently explained the structural integrity requirements, the engineering, the safety codes. She waved her hand. Just make it look pretty for the photos, darling. It's an aesthetic. I provided 3 quotes for structurally sound, safe alternatives. Each was dismissed as overpriced. Every single rejection was logged. Every email, every text message, filed away. Next, she demanded custom-built archways and arbors for the ceremony and cocktail hour. She insisted on a specific, exotic wood, unseasoned, raw, green. She wanted them constructed and installed within a week. I explained that unseasoned wood would warp, crack, and potentially shrink, compromising stability, especially with the expected summer humidity. I offered seasoned alternatives, explained the drying process, the time needed. She just stared at me, her perfect eyebrows arched. Marcus, darling, are you going to be difficult? Or are you going to just make my vision a reality? It just needs to look perfect for the day. I had her sign a specific waiver acknowledging the risks of using unseasoned wood on her timeline. My boss, Liam, initially pushed back. I showed him the email chain. He sighed. Then came the piece de resistance, the ice sculptures. Serafina wanted an ice palace aesthetic for the entire reception tent, not just a few sculptures, but enormous, intricate pieces forming a centerpiece around the dance floor, almost like a grotto. She showed me glossy magazine cutouts, pages ripped from high-end bridal publications. The cost for the sculptures themselves was astronomical, a third-party vendor. But integrating them, that was us. I explained to her in painstaking detail the logistics for such an installation in the Oakhaven Estate's temporary tent. It was a beautiful but unair-conditioned canvas structure meant for open-air summer receptions. I talked about drainage. I talked about melting rates in August heat. I talked about potential water damage to the custom-built stage, the dance floor we were installing, the electrical equipment. I spoke of slip hazards for guests. Her response, a dismissive wave of her hand and a simpering smile. Oh, Marcus, you're such a negative Nancy. It's meant to be whimsical. It'll be fine. Just make it work. It's the aesthetic. She refused to even consider supplementary industrial fans or expensive portable AC units. That's not in the budget, darling. Just place them carefully. Every warning, every specific concern about water, about safety, about damage was documented. Email timestamped. The main structural work for the wedding was completed a week before the event. The stage was built, the subfloor for the dance area was laid, the archways were installed. They looked beautiful, despite the slight bowing in the green wood I'd warned her about. The final progress invoice, explicitly excluding the ice sculpture integration, was due. This invoice covered thousands of dollars in labor and materials. Serafina refused to pay. She claimed the work wasn't perfect. She pointed to the barely perceptible warps in the archways, exactly as I had predicted. She called it substandard craftsmanship. Her voice, usually sugary, turned sharp and cold. You expect me to pay for this shoddy work? Absolutely not. Not until everything is perfect. And that includes ensuring my ice sculptures are immaculate. She then escalated, bypassing me entirely. She went directly to my boss, Liam. She threatened lawsuits. She threatened a smear campaign on social media, promising to ruin Precision Carpentry's reputation unless we took responsibility for all aspects of her decor, including the ice sculptures provided by another vendor and any issues arising from them. Liam, fearing bad press and knowing Serafina's family had connections, however distant, initially wavered. He called me into his office, looking harried. "Marcus, she's a nightmare. Can't we just absorb this? Make it right?" I remained calm. "Liam, the contract specifies our scope. We are building structures. We advised against the ice sculptures in that environment. We have documented everything. If you concede to her demand, we are taking on complete liability for another vendor's product, installed against our professional advice, in conditions we warned her about after she refused to pay her current invoice." Liam rubbed his temples. Okay, but we need to keep her happy, or at least neutral. How about this? We'll coordinate the ice sculpture placement. We'll ensure they are physically installed where she wants them, but we get her to sign off, explicitly on her instructions, her rejection of our advice, and a full waiver of liability regarding melting, water damage, and any related safety issues. This was it, the trigger. Serafina, emboldened by Liam's partial concession, emailed us her final instructions. She explicitly demanded the largest ice sculptures be placed directly on the wooden dance floor area, in the very center of the tent. She reiterated her rejection of any additional climate control, drainage solutions, or protective flooring. She explicitly wrote, "The aesthetic is paramount. Your job is to make my vision happen, not to argue logistics." Liam forwarded it to me with a terse, "Get her to sign this, Marcus, if you can." I didn't need a signature. Her email was the signature, her direct written instruction. My boss's acquiescence, however reluctant, now put the ball entirely in her court. I went into read-only mode. The arguments stopped. The polite professional warning ceased. My demeanor shifted from helpful expert to compliant technician. This was no longer about preventing a disaster. This was about meticulously documenting the inevitable. I reviewed every clause in our service agreement, every line in the employee handbook regarding client-directed changes and liability. I found the loopholes. I found the protections. I created a new, dedicated folder on our secure server, named Project Serafina Client-Directed Liability. Every email, every text, every meeting minute, every photograph, every temperature log, every single communication related to Serafina's demands went into that folder, time-stamped, unalterable. It was a digital fortress of blame. I assigned my most meticulous, but least confrontational, junior carpenter, Liam, confusingly, same name as my boss, but no relation, to oversee the ice sculpture placement. "Liam," I instructed, "you will follow her instructions to the letter. No deviation. You will take photos, lots of photos, before, during, after. You will log temperature readings inside the tent every hour. You will document the exact placement of every sculpture. You will note the lack of drainage. You will document any concern raised by anyone on site. Immediately email it to Serafina and CC me, and ensure she acknowledges receipt. Do you understand? Your job is not to problem solve. Your job is to document." Liam, ever diligent, nodded, a little confused but determined. My final act before the wedding day was to send one last, comprehensive email to Serafina. It was a polite summary, devoid of opinion, simply reiterating our previous warnings about melting, water damage, and safety hazards. I then confirmed her explicit instructions to proceed without professional mitigation, citing her last email as proof of her direct command. I CC'd my boss, Liam, and our company's general counsel. I set a read receipt. She opened it within an hour. No reply. It was perfect. Wedding day. The heat was brutal, a classic late August swelter. The air shimmered over the Oakhaven estate lawns. Inside the reception tent, the air was still, heavy, and humid. Our crew had done their part, laying down the beautiful custom wooden dance floor, setting up the elegant stage for the band. The structure was sound. The ice sculptures arrived, massive, gleaming, otherworldly in their temporary pristine state. They were placed exactly as Serafina had demanded, front and center, around the dance floor on the raw wooden planks. No protective mats, no drip trays, no industrial fans. Liam was there, a camera glued to his hand, clicking away, dutifully logging the tent's internal temperature. It was pushing 95 degrees Fahrenheit inside. The ceremony began. Guests started arriving. Even before the reception, you could see the sculptures weeping. Small rivulets of water traced paths down their intricate carvings, pooling at their bases. No one seemed to notice, caught up in the champagne and the initial excitement. The reception started. The tent filled with hundreds of guests. The band started playing. The air grew thicker, heavier with body heat and humidity. The ice sculptures, once magnificent, were now rapidly deteriorating. They weren't just weeping, they were torrents. Pools of water began to spread across the dance floor. The custom wooden planks, meticulously laid by my team, began to buckle. Small gaps opened between them. The DJ, positioned near one of the larger sculptures, suddenly yelped as his mixer sparked. A small plume of smoke rose from his equipment, then a high-pitched whine as the sound system cut out completely. Panicked shouts. And then the first fall. A guest, perhaps a little too enthusiastic after the open bar, spun onto the dance floor. His feet went out from under him in a slick patch of water. He hit the ground with a sickening thud. A collective gasp went through the crowd. Paramedics were immediately called. Serafina, looking like a deranged porcelain doll, her perfect makeup running in streaks down her face, stormed toward me. Her voice was a hysterical shriek. "Marcus, what have you done? My wedding. You've ruined my wedding. This is sabotage. You hated my vision, didn't you? You deliberately messed this up." I met her gaze, my face a mask of calm. I pulled out my tablet, its screen already displaying the Project Serafina Client-Directed Liability folder. "Serafina," I stated, my voice cutting through the rising panic. "I have here the complete documentation for this project. Every warning we issued about the ice sculptures, every specific instruction you gave regarding their placement, your explicit rejection of climate control, your waiver of liability for water damage and safety hazards." I swiped through photos of her direct emails, the temperature logs, Liam's time-stamped pictures of the installation. "We followed your instructions to the letter." The fallout was spectacular. Within minutes, the Oakhaven estate manager, a stern woman named Miss Albright, arrived, taking in the scene. The fallen guest was being tended to by paramedics. The dance floor was a waterlogged mess, planks floating, electrical equipment sparking. Miss Albright took one look, then decisively announced the tented reception area was a safety hazard and shut it down. The wedding was over, less than an hour into the reception. Lawyers were called. Serafina dissolved into full-blown hysterics, her parents looking absolutely mortified. Liam, my boss, arrived, saw my tablet, saw the folder, and simply nodded. He stood beside me, our company's legal protection ironclad. Miss Albright, the Oakhaven estate manager, presented her own documentation. The venue contract, which Serafina had signed, clearly outlining client responsibility for decor risks and damage to the property. Serafina was on the hook for the extensive damage to the Oakhaven estate's grounds and our custom dance floor, for the cost of the ruined event, for the medical bills of the injured guest. The ice sculpture vendor had their own contracts with similar waivers. Her reputation, the very thing she tried so desperately to protect and elevate, was not just in tatters, it was dissolved, a puddle on the floor, just like her beloved ice sculptures. Update 2 weeks later. Precision Carpentry has been completely cleared of any wrongdoing. Liam even gave me a bonus. The Oakhaven estate is suing Serafina Dubois for significant damages to their property and loss of future bookings for the ruined event. Serafina is desperately trying to blame the ice sculpture vendor, but they too had their contracts signed. Her family, apparently, is refusing to cover her legal fees anymore, citing her reckless disregard for professional advice and common sense. They claimed they'd warned her. Update 1 month later. Word on the street is that Serafina's wedding fund, which everyone thought was hers, was actually a trust fund from a distant relative, meant only for education and responsible life milestones. It's been frozen pending multiple lawsuits, effectively bankrupting her. Her engagement called off. Apparently, her fiancé had no idea about her financial situation or the extent of her abusive client behavior. He was reportedly just happy to elope quietly, not for a $100,000 spectacle. Update 2 months later saw a local news blurb, a small human interest piece about people rebuilding their lives. There was Serafina Dubois in a rather unflattering uniform, working the drive-through window at a fast food joint on the outskirts of town. The picture was unmistakable. Some dreams, it turns out, just melt away into a very soggy reality.